Chief, okay. Good evening. I'd like to call the East Hempfield Township Traffic Commission to order. Would you please join me and rise for a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Now the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Our first order of business is the minutes from September 20th, 2023. Mr. Lefevre, do you have any?
No, sir, I do not.
Okay.
I'll move to approve them as prepared.
Okay, I'll second that. All of those in favor of approving the minutes from 9/20/23, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 2-0. Thank you. Traffic report.
Yeah, I just added that to your list of items, so you haven't had a chance to look at it. So maybe Chief Brubaker can give you some highlights.
Have a couple spots that I'm on a reoccurring topic list here at the meetings that we gave some efforts to within the past month. Specifically Marietta Avenue. We've had a contingency of residents here with some things. Did some proactive measures within the 22 to 2300 block based on their concerns. We also heard some neighbors speak last month about Greystone Road. So we had some efforts up there as well as some signs put in place this week to help educate people on their speeds. So we'll continue our efforts with both of those. Some of the other ones are just the normal spots that seem to come up at meetings: Centerville, Nisley, Stony Battery. So.
For the Greystone, I think it was Greystone, and was it Colebrook as well?
Yes.
So Colebrook, the area there at Raffo Township, we were looking at possibly doing like reduced speed or.
Last meeting, I believe the reduced speed is in effect. We talked about maybe doing like some flags on a sign on the Raffo side. I think we still need to make some headway with that. So
Okay.
we did do some enforcement efforts up there, which aren't on the report, but we were up there with a speed detail.
Any questions? Okay. Mr. Weeb, welcome.
Thank you.
Traffic studies for Winding Hill Road to 300 block. It looks like you conducted a study, and if I'm reading this correctly, there's almost minimal enforcement violations that are there. It's a 25-mile-per-hour speed zone, and the average speed was 26 miles per hour. And then also on Knolt Road in the 3700 block, a little bit more. Average speed was 29 miles per hour in a 25 zone, and the enforceable violations would have been in the 12% range. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Where exactly is that 3700 block?
Area is Snapper Dam Road.
So that area, when we had the detour, would have seen significant increases in traffic, and I'm hoping that this was
Secondary to get a reduction count. It also had a resident call with concern, so we wanted to do a second speed study after the construction when Church Street had reopened.
Okay. Any other questions or comments on those?
I just had a general question actually this came from the minutes of last meeting. We talked about, I guess it was Colebrook Road, where we had some really major speeding. And so there was some enforcement and some education. So the question I had was, when we educate, is there a way to keep track of how many times a person has been educated before they get enforced?
Sure. So with the education, we typically issue what would be a written warning And that written warning then goes into our records management system so that when we stop somebody, we're able to run their name and that would come up that they've been
Already been warned.
already been advised of their.
How many warnings do they get? Like one or?
It's honestly, it's not too often that we get too many repeat offenders.
Okay, good.
Is there anyone in the audience that has questions on the traffic studies concerning Winding Hill Road and Knoll Road? Or any comments related to that? Okay, any online? Okay, hearing none. Up next, old business. We have the truck route study, which there will be a public presentation later tonight at our Board of Supervisor meeting. We will have our traffic engineer. He's going to go over what the study entailed and the recommendations that he is making to our township at that time. Are there any comments here for Traffic Commission on that?
No, we're gonna talk about it later, but I did think it was well-written and understandable as a non-traffic engineer.
Okay. Any questions regarding that item? Again, we're going to be going over it later at the Board of Supervisor meeting. Okay. Hearing none. Up next, we have new business. Is there any new business from the board that we wish to discuss or bring up? Okay. Okay, with none, we'll turn it over to public comment. If you are here as a resident and wish to comment on some traffic issues that we haven't talked about, we would invite you now to come to the microphone and please state your name and address so we can retain that for meeting minute purposes. And we'd also ask that if you haven't done so already, you sign in, and that way we have the correct spelling of your name and your address as well. Either one.
Okay, I'm just here to clarify something
and
from the
address, please.
last one. Adele Rusak, R-U-S-Z-A-K. There was comment by Brenda and myself that someone had made at a meeting before that they wanted to increase the speed limit on Centerville to 45. Going back to that YouTube video, it was May 18th, 2022 meeting. And what was said was that you wanted to increase the speed limit around the school to 35. And then that was negated. But then a little bit longer in that video, somebody had said, yeah, because they'll go 45 anyways. So that's where the 45 came from. And then someone on your board here then made the comment, well, they already go 50 to 60 around there. So this is all on the May 18th, 2022. So I just want to clarify that's where we got all that. Was also stated that all the children are bused. That is correct, but a lot of children walk, which they have the right to do. So anyways, I'm still an advocate for 25 miles an hour on that road. Trying to pull out of Chapel Forge is now a nightmare. I mean, it's like taking your life into your hands because or your hands into your life, or however that saying goes. But it used to be you could pull out, no problem. Now you pull out and somebody's right on your butt who wasn't there before. And then they're totally angry. So I just wanted to clarify that.
Okay. So just so I'm clear, nobody was advocating for 45-mile-an-hour zone.
No, they're advocating for 35. And then they made the comment that that would make them go 45 anyway. So that's how we got to 45.
Okay.
Which sounded like they were advocating for faster.
No, I think if I remember correctly, I think they were looking for uniform speed on the road, or that was a part of that. Right. Right. Okay, well, thank you for that. Any other comments?
Right. My name's Christina Dietrich, 842 Farmingdale Road. And I'm here to address the new traffic pattern at the intersection of Orville Road and Farmingdale Road, which is where I reside. My husband and I's concerns primarily revolve around the safety of our children and the broader community. With the new traffic pattern, our children can no longer use the school bus and now ride a small bus for a much longer period of time than necessary. And this is deeply concerning because if a school bus cannot navigate this intersection, how can a ladder truck from a fire department? I've reached out to the Roystown Fire Department to request a practice run and discussion, but I have not heard back yet. Regarding the change in traffic pattern, there has not been enough media coverage, so I don't think a lot of people are aware of what they're driving up to, and definitely not enough signage letting drivers knowing what is coming up. So people coming down Farmingdale no longer know they cannot turn left on Good Drive. And so because people are getting there and they know if they could keep going straight, they're gonna have to go the whole way to Harrisburg Pike and can't turn left there either. They're turning and driving the wrong way against traffic through our yard, or even over the new barrier. There's already tire marks, and it's happening many, many times a day. I have many videos from our security cameras and from myself being out there as well. In fact, right before I came to this meeting, I was just walking out my door and the stop sign was completely knocked down by a truck too large to make the turn from Orville to Farmingdale. So as I was sitting here, police resources were at my home with my husband discussing that. And now the police resources are being used to repair the stop sign. The East Hempfield Police Department have been present and very helpful. I'm sure they have more important things to do than monitoring the situation that has created more problems than solved from my perspective. I'm not a traffic controller and I'm a first grade teacher. And so I don't know everything behind the reasoning, but from my perspective, it's created a lot of uncertainty and unsafe situations for ourselves and for drivers and our community members. We understand the need for change and improvements to our road systems, but we must prioritize safety, and many inconveniences have risen because of this. But I won't mention all of those now. The safety is the main reason I'm here. So I would ask that we would address my concerns promptly to ensure the safety of my family and the entire community.
Thank you, Ms. Dietrich. So Mrs. Schweitzer, I believe you've been in communication with her.
I've talked to Mr. Dietrich.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So we've been made aware. I myself have paid a couple of visits out there. I believe we had our traffic engineer go back out. There are some things that will be done in the short term, and you mentioned signage and that kind of stuff. And just to give you a little history, I don't know if anyone has or not, there was a severe speeding problem and cut through traffic problem on Farmingdale Road, which I believe that we've addressed. I think we've cut a lot of that down. That's on the positive side. There's always going to be some type of headaches when we do something new. What comes to mind is, I don't know how long you are in the area, but are you familiar with Running Pump Road?
Yes.
So Running Pump Road for years was a straight shot out to Columbia Avenue. And then we put up stop signs. And then a roundabout, and it was a big to-do at the time. But as time has gone on, we made some tweaks. We did a few things that made it more operational and better. And I think now most people would say that it's a better situation than it was before. I'd like to say to you that we hear your concerns and we recognize them, and maybe what's engineered is not always practical. So we're going to look at tweaks that we can make. I don't think we're going to go, and just to be upfront with you, we're not going to go and pull it out right away. But we are going to look at, practical things that we can do. Signage, can it be widened, education, those kinds of things moving forward. And I apologize. I did, I've seen and heard about, it's amazing what some people will do, cutting through your yard and that type of stuff. And it's definitely a real issue. And we're not going to just drop this and forget about it and it's going to go away. So there are going to be some things that we do. We do hear you.
Okay.
And there will be things done in the future.
Okay. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Mrs. Schweitzer, I understood from your correspondence that Chris Bauer was going to be here at the Traffic Commission.
No, he is coming to the 7 o'clock meeting to
Okay,
discuss the
I
truck
must have
route.
misread that then, but I did stop out today to look at the situation. What I saw in the most disturbance is on the west side of your driveway, suggesting people are going around the barrier into your driveway. and coming out. And that's the area I saw damage. I didn't see any other damage, but possibly it's not showing with the grass being lush and okay at this point. Yeah, I can see the challenges of that situation, and that Farmingdale Road has been an extreme challenge to this township for years, so. It's a little tight. Yes, it is.
Mr. Weaver, any comments or?
I unfortunately didn't get out to see the site, but it does sound like one of those things that we need to check into, and maybe some tweaks will fix it. I hope that that's the case. One way or another, we'll have, sounds like we gotta do something about it.
Yes.
The greatest concern I have is coming southbound on Farmingdale. If one wants to go in the left lane, you cannot see what's oncoming. And we could have a very serious accident there that there's just absolutely no visibility over that hump. Okay, that's something needs to be addressed.
Is there any other comments or questions for the Traffic Commission this evening? Yes, ma'am.
On Flaherty Stony Battery Road. I know you guys are doing everything you can, and I see your presence from time to time, but it is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, you would think it was an interstate highway, not a 35-mile-an-hour zone. With how fast people are going. And that one factory down at the end that does the trucks, and they've got them parked at the other end, at the other factory. It's like a speed race to see how fast they can get back up the road when they're bringing them up. They're doing maintenance on them and configuring the insides or whatever. I understand their position, what they need to get done, but it's ridiculous. And you had the thing here about the traffic study on Knolt Road, coming down Knolt to Stony Battery, where they took that farmhouse out to put that warehouse. People don't stop at that stop sign. There's going to be a death there. The other day when we were walking, there was somebody came out of Knolt Road and turned left onto Stony Battery. And there was a row of cars on Stony Battery already. And he was in the wrong lane on the eastbound side until he could cut somebody off to get in. And I mean, that's the worst one I've seen, but you know, there's been a number of accidents there. Nothing's been serious, but people don't even stop. They don't even slow up for that stop sign. Some of the big trucks don't even, you know, now that that house and barn are gone, you can see. So they just keep going.
Okay, well, we thank you for the comments. There have been some improvements there. I think with the house going down, there's definitely some site improvements. When you're turning off of Knolt Road onto Stony Battery, there was some significant site challenges there. Prior to that coming down, that's been eliminated. We have a wonderful new walking path there. I don't know if you've
Oh,
had
we
a
use it all
chance.
the time.
That's
And I will
good.
have to say, if anything, that's the only improvement that's been made along there.
Well, at least we
Warehouses
have
were
one.
Definitely not. Yes, at least we do have one. But you know, the speeding is just, I mean, we thought it would calm down after Church Street got finished, but it's just not.
Well, we appreciate it. I think Chief is well aware of it.
I know she is, and I know that they've, you know, done a lot, but I'm sorry, it's just not enough.
Okay.
And I don't even know how you slow people down. And, you know, and like people sit out there and blow their horn at the mailman, you know, because there's a row of cars halfway back to Landisville behind the mail truck. Well, that's life, you know, but they're just so impatient. I don't know how you deal with that, but something's got to be done.
Thank you. Do we have any other comments or questions? Are they any from Zoom? Anything? No? Okay. All right, well then, hearing none, we're going to adjourn the Traffic Commission meeting. It is 6:20 PM. We will return for the Board of Supervisor meeting at 7 PM this evening. Thank you.